Typically the case with most strange disappearances. A number of theories have been circulating around as to what may have happened to Timothy, and it seems like the most plausible one right now.
Alright, so I'm going to be watching or listening to these murder mystery videos, so don't get too spooked. Alright. Just have that one backed up. But yeah.
Is murder. Upon police examination of Amy's vehicle, they were able to find an unsettling amount of blood throughout her car. Blood that belonged to Timothy. This, along with Amy's sporadic actions and unfit mental state, has led many to believe that Amy had in fact murdered her own son. In her suicide note, when she writes that Timothy was safe with people he loved and that he'd never be found, people take this as meaning that Timothy was now in heaven with other loved ones who had passed. Upon further examination of her vehicle, it was determined that the car had been parked in a grassy area, possibly near a stream. Perhaps this suggests that after Timothy had killed Timothy, she dumped his body in the woods, in a spot that she was sure that no one would ever check. This whole theory would also explain why Timothy was inexplicably not with his mother for the majority of her final day. Perhaps she had committed the crime en route to Rockford. This would also explain why Amy had taken Timothy to all these cool places and gotten him all that nice stuff. Perhaps she was making his final days the best of his life. Knowing what we know about this case, I understand why this is the most popular theory. I agree with the notion that this is certainly the most likely theory, and that there is a very good chance that this is exactly what happened. However, once you dig a little deeper, there is still a lot of evidence that casts doubt on the theory itself. For starters, Timothy was Amy's one source of happiness. He was everything to her, and I get that she was depressed, but that doesn't just make you kill the one that you love the most. I mean, depression doesn't just make you a murderer, so why would you kill Timothy? I mean, every murder has a motive, and I just don't see one in this case. And at this point, she certainly wasn't under the influence of it, because she was driving around and walking normally into stores just hours later, so it clearly wasn't done in some kind of drug-induced rage or anything like that. And the fact that she loved him so much makes it hard to believe that she would just plan this murder out and actually so is it even really possible that she could have murdered him? Also, as for the blood in her car, this was later revealed to have likely been from one of Timothy's frequent nose bleeds. He had gotten a bad one in the car just weeks before his disappearance, which authorities now believe had caused the blood that they had found in the car. And despite all the police investigations into the hotels that they stayed at and the crime scene where Amy had killed herself, no evidence of murder was ever found. The only piece of true evidence to support this was the fact that Amy had changed her clothes after leaving the hotel where Timothy was last seen. This set of clothes was never seen again. So at the end of the day, we have a really strong theory. Despite its many flaws, it's still possible that this was in fact what happened. But I certainly can't say with 100% certainty that Amy murdered Timothy. And for that reason, we have to explore some other theories. Buried in the suicide note and forgotten by most was the fact that Amy had mentioned how she didn't want to risk Timothy being hurt by Jim because of her choices. This is something that really jumped out to me because it implies something incredibly dark. First of all, why would she just assume that Jim would hurt Timothy? Perhaps this suggests that Jim was actually abusive towards him, and she feared that taking her life would fill him with even more rage. I mean, she wouldn't just assume Jim would hurt Timothy if he didn't have a history of abuse, right? I mean, that's not just something that you could assume that he would just randomly start doing out of the blue. So perhaps this is why Amy never called Jim, because he might not have been the man that we thought. But digging even deeper, let's look into the second part of her statement. Because of her choices. Sure, this could mean her choice to take her own life and to take Timothy on this random trip. But why would this translate into Timothy being hurt? These were Amy's actions, and there's no way that it could be spun around and blamed on a 6-year-old child. This has led many to believe that there was more to the statement. Some believe that this statement implies that Amy had actually cheated on Jim, and that Timothy was not actually Jim's son. And perhaps she felt that if Jim were to ever find out about the choices she made to cheat on him, he would hurt both of them. And maybe he just wouldn't be able to handle the pain of being lied to. So it's possible that Amy discovered that Timothy was in fact not Jim's child, and that she panicked and caused this whole ordeal. And maybe she ended up taking Timothy to his actual father, who is now raising him in secrecy. I know this one is a bit out there, but there's one thing that really sticks out in my mind when I hear this, and that is this. When Amy and Jim met, Jim was battling Hodgkin's lymphoma. He was luckily able to beat the disease, but not without the help of chemotherapy. But a nasty side effect of this treatment is typically infertilization in men. So when Jim was later able to have a child with Amy, they viewed it as a miracle. Perhaps it wasn't a miracle at all. Perhaps it was someone else's child. So to recap this theory, some believe that Amy had gotten pregnant with Timothy because of another man. And fearful of what Jim might do when he later finds out, she took Timothy away and had him live in secrecy with his real father. And unable to cope with the mess that she created, Amy had taken her life. Now to me, this is a theory based purely on speculation that is very interesting, but probably not much more than that. It is quite certainly more of a reach than saying that he was just murdered, but at the end of the day, it's still a possibility. Perhaps bits and pieces of it are true, perhaps none of them. But with a case this mysterious, all things have to be considered. Now this theory is a bit more vague, but it is a popular one among Timothy's remaining friends. They believe that Timothy was given up to a kind family that lives in a remote area and that are now homeschooling him, hiding him. I mean, after all, 2011 was a high point of underground adoptions, so it's possible that a family illegally adopted him through England. But there's also stranger places that some people believe that he might have gone. Some people believe that Timothy was given up to a remote Amish community, and that he is there working and living with a group of people who are now caring for him. Another creepier belief is that Timothy was given up to a cult located in the Wisconsin area near the hotel that the two had stayed at. Now, I couldn't find much information about this supposed cult, but I've heard from a lot of locals that really swear that it is real. Whoever he was given up to, this theory suggests that Timothy is alive and well to this day. And for that reason, I honestly hope that this is the case. I mean, even if he's part of some creepy cult, like, at least he's alive. And at least there's hope that he can one day be reunited with his father. To this day, neither of the theories discussed have been proven or disproven. And closure seems a long way off for the family of Timothy Pitson. Perhaps in the future, Timothy will return home to his father with a story to tell. But until then, we'll just have to wait for more answers before we can truly solve the disappearance of Timothy Pitson.
Reloading! Reloading! Reloading!
Pass the bricks!
Guys, I want to give a quick shout out to Darkness for suggesting today's video, and also Oscar Martin for suggesting the last video. Thanks, guys.
Waiting and waiting, and he keeps saying he's waiting for you to pay. You don't know me, but I'm Lucy Drop's supplier. The only reason I lent Lucy Drop so much product is because he showed me the chat logs of you and him talking, and how you made him the #1 seller on the Silk Road. I lent him $900,000 of product, and he paid me $200K and started avoiding me. I see you and him still have listings up, so I know for a fact he does not have any product. Why are you guys scamming people for hard-earned money? I stopped by Lucy Drop's house and he doesn't live there anymore, and his phone goes straight to voicemail, but I know he's been on Silk Road, and he said he's waiting for you. What's the deal? Where's my money? Why is Lucy Drop still selling when I know for a fact he has no product because I supplied him? I'm freaking out here. That was not my money. I'm getting scared. My wife said she saw people at my kid's school, and I'm really getting worried. I put a keylogger on Lucy Drop's computer when he left the room one day when I was there, so I could see what he was doing, and I see he's still selling, when I know he doesn't have product. Why are you guys pulling a scam? Why? I also have the identities of 9 top vendors and 15 smaller vendors and thousands of customers of Lucy Drops. I don't want any trouble, but I want my money, and if you haven't paid Lucy Drop, pay him. If you have to pay him, then tell him to pay me. I'm scared for my family. If you don't believe me, here is Lucy's password info. Here we see the attached password from Lucy Drop and the withdraw password, which is used to pull money out of the Silk Road. And then he says, I will not do anything until you message me and tell me what's going on. Please get him to pay me as soon as possible, or pay him ASAP if you have it. This is my life here, and I'm scared for my family because of the money I owe. So here we have a guy claiming that he put a keylogger on Lucy Drop's computer, and that computer has now been lost because it was stolen by the partner conveniently. On March 14th, 2013 at 7:34 p.m., Ross Ulbricht would respond and say, "I'm really sorry for your situation, but I never had such a conversation with Lucy Drop. He/she must have made it up to trick you. We have no special deal whatsoever." Friendly Chemist would then respond at 10:54 p.m. and say, "I find it very hard to believe he showed me chat logs talking to you about you making him the #1 seller and being his partner on the product I gave him. I would not have given him that much product otherwise, especially because you made him the #1 seller. Please don't screw me like this. My life is in danger because of this money I owe. I also know about the other vendor accounts his friends were using. I have access to those customer lists too, from when Lucy Drop was dropshipping for me. I'm not this kind of person, but the only card I have left to play is dropping 24 vendor identities and thousands of customer details on the web and the forums. What do you and Lucy Drop think will happen if thousands of usernames and order amounts, addresses all get leaked? All of those people will leave Silk Road and be scared to use it again. Those vendors will all be busted, and all their customers will be exposed too, and never go back to Silk Road. I don't want to do that. I just want my money for my product, my life is in danger, and maybe my family. Those people I borrowed money from are not regular people. I can't believe I was so stupid and trusting. Just get Lucy Drop to pay me my money, and get my money as soon as possible. And if you haven't paid him yet, then pay. So if he pays me, he knows. Please, I'm freaking out here." A day later, on March 15th, 2013, at 6:49 a.m., Ross Ulbricht would then respond and say, "I will get in touch with Lucy Drop and get back to you."
Reloading! Reloaded! Weapons here!
Wait, what?
Grenades! Duck and cover!
Bruh.
Wait, listen up. Ever wanted to chat with your friends on YouTube, Netflix, and Disney Plus while watching videos together? Well, now you can with Discussion Bar. Add friends, sync content, and be the host of your own watch party. Simply sign up with your Google account to begin. Discussion Bar. Streaming made social.
Send me all of the information you've harvested so I can verify it. 4 minutes later, at 6:53 a.m., Dread Pirate Roberts would send a message to Lucy Drop with the subject line, "Friendly Chemist." The message said, "Hi Lucy Drop, I've been contacted by a member named Friendly Chemist. He claims to know you and have done business with you in real life. He's making wild accusations and threats against you and me and other members of my community. If you indeed know him, could you please provide me with his name and address? I'd like to stop him in his tracks by revealing that I know who he is and will retaliate if he does anything stupid. Any other info you can provide is also welcome. Thanks and sorry for the trouble. DPR. P.S. Please don't contact him. I'd like to handle him myself." This is a really stupid move if Lucy Drop's computer was actually keylogged, but under those circumstances, I guess he's testing the bluff. On March 15th at 9:17 a.m., Friendly Chemist would then get back to DPR and say, "I didn't harvest anything. Lucy Drop kept a log of every single transaction he made on the Silk Road like an idiot. There are thousands of orders, and there are over 20 vendor identities from where he did biz with them. Some with phone numbers too, and over 5,000 customer identities. He also ran more than one account on here and seems to be still vending on those accounts too, and did everything from one computer, so I have their info too. You already know that I have access to his account, and you can see most of his orders are not encrypted, so I don't know why you're asking me to send all the info to you now. The only reason I can understand this is unless he wanted to warn all his people so you and Lucy Drop don't have to pay me. His username, his password, and his withdrawal password. You say you're not working with him, but you still haven't closed his account when you know he is scamming. But I will give you the address of some of the customers, and you can see he kept logs this whole time. Here are some of his very first sales when he was selling 3 tab samples when he first started vending. You can contact them to see if it's true. Clearly, Ross was being threatened with real identities, and this is why the government actually redacted this in the court documents. Getting back to Friendly Chemist's message, it continues as, and the log goes like that up till today, every day, and that's just one of his accounts. He has 3, and he uses each one for a different thing. But I'm sure you know this, or else why else would you let his account stay open? I don't want to do anything with this info, and I won't. I just want my money. I'm scared for my life, and you and him are not giving me an answer. Maybe if I post all the vendor identities publicly and nobody sells in Silk Road, the Lucy Drop will have no more sales or people to scam on his other account. I just want what's owed to me, and I will go away. I don't know why you people scam like this. People work hard for their money, and you are playing with people's lives. I will wait for your reply from Lucy Drop, but I don't know how much longer I can wait. How can I explain to these people that I don't have their money when I said I would have it on a certain day, and now I'm late? These are not normal people, and they're getting angry with me. Just get Lucy Drop to resolve this, or pay him, or he can pay me. I did a favor, and this is not fair to play with my life like this. Later that same day, DPR would get back to Friendly Chemist and said, I'll let you know when I hear from Lucy Drop. On March 15th at 8:42 p.m., Friendly Chemist would once again message DPR pleading his case. I'll show the message here on screen, but I'm not going to read through it because it's basically the exact same thing he said earlier in that day. On March 16th at 5:22 a.m., Real Lucy Drop would join the Silk Road forums. Here, Real Lucy Drop would post the following thread. Do not buy from Lucy Drop on Silk Road. I can't talk about the specifics for security reasons, but I was in jail for more than 2 months, but less than 7. I got released very recently. Lucy Drop on Silk Road is not me. Do not buy from that account. And my partner completely f***ed me over. I went to our spot, and there's nothing there, and he won't answer my phone calls. He took the work computer and everything else. He took my entire savings with him that was being used to keep the supply up. He took my entire life. Somebody please get in contact with DPR or vendor support and have the account shut down immediately and freeze all the funds in that account. How can I contact DPR? I can't find a link to message him. I can prove to him that I'm the real Lucy Drop, but I do not have access to my PGP or any of my logins. If you ordered from me in the past, namely a couple of top vendors, I can give you details and you can verify/vouch that I am indeed the real Lucy Drop. Do not trust anything that is said from the Lucy Drop account. Do not send any funds. Do not finalize anything. I just want to point out that it's very convenient that after Lucy Drop exit scammed, that this entire story came about as soon as this Friendly Chemist guy shows up on the scene to blackmail. Just keep that in mind. On March 16, 2013 at 2:15 p.m., DPR would send a message to Real Lucy Drop that said, Hi there, how did the new person gain access to your account? At 8:57 that same day, Real Lucy Drop would respond with a message that said, It's not a new person who took over the account. It was my partner in real life that I started Lucy Drop with. I was the one that actually handled the Lucy Drop account until I got arrested. I was picked up on a previous warrants and spent some time in jail. My partner took absolutely everything from me in that time. He took all the work computers, Bitcoin wallets, all of the work product, and nearly my entire life savings and scammed a bunch of people in the process. Friendly Chemist was our middleman to one of our Lucy distributors. I called him after I got released, and he's demanding I pay him some deal he had with my partner when I was in jail and telling me he will do something very stupid if he doesn't get paid. How do you know Friendly Chemist? Keep in mind at this point, Dread Pirate Roberts never once brought up Friendly Chemist to Real Lucy Drop. He brought it up to the other account. Regardless, the next day, at March 17th, 4:48 a.m., Dread Pirate Roberts would respond to Real Lucy Drop and say, I'm so glad you know him. He's gathered personal information about many of the customers who work with Lucy Drop. I'm not sure if he was in control of the account back at the time or not, and has some other info on other vendors on Silk Road. Now he's trying to blackmail me and say that he'll release all of this info. If this happened, this would be terrible. I need his real-world identity so I can threaten him with violence if he were to release any names, addresses, or anything you have. It sounds like he's in a tough spot that your former partner put him in, but I can't get involved and I can't release those IDs. Thank you for any help you can provide. Lucy Drop would then respond at 10:59 p.m. the same day and say, I don't know how I feel about that violent solution. Remember that he also knows my real-world identity and has evidence on me as well. I'm sure you are aware of what would happen to me if any of my information was to be released. If he had access to that computer, there's a lot more damaging stuff on there than just the identities of a bunch of vendors and a bunch of customers of mine. There is enough on that computer to put me away for a very long time. He's acting really erratic right now, understandably because of the given situation, but I will set up a meeting with him and try and reason with him. It is also in my best interest that he does not release anything, as well as in the best interest of this movement we are a part of. putting power in people's hands. I fucking hate when money does that to people. I am in contact with him, and I told him I am talking to you, and I'm going to have a meeting with him and try and resolve this problem of ours. Ross Ulbricht then responds at 1:27 a.m., just a few hours later, and says, "Okay, Lucy, do me proud." On March 19, 2013, at 9:36 a.m., Lucy Drop would respond with the following message. "I went to the meeting with him, and he is extremely frightened. He told me who he owes money to, and I understand his concern for his safety because they are not people you want to owe money to. He is freaking out and truly believes that his life and his family's life are in serious danger. He thinks that you don't take him seriously, and he said he was planning on releasing part of the information to show he is serious. I convinced him not to and reassured him that things would be okay. If that information gets leaked and those vendors get busted, I would get busted too. I tried not to show him that I was too concerned with his threats, but I'm not sure how to deal with him. He said he's been doing his research, and he said he's discovered a flaw with Silk Road that buyers have never thought about. I'm assuming he's referring to the fact that the vendors all have people's addresses and can use it against Silk Road or the buyers themselves to extort money or what have you. He also kept talking about the shitstorm that was caused by that much information being leaked by the media/police picking up on it and starting a mass panic. He said if we don't pay him, he will release the information, and if that does not work, he will go straight to the police with all the information and get into the witness protection program. The people he borrowed the product from are a big criminal organization in Canada, Hells Angels. Not sure if you're familiar with them, and the police have been known to treat witnesses against them very well. This is saddening because this guy is not really like this, but I guess with the threat to his family's life, he is under extreme stress and acting out of character. I calmed him down a bit and told him I'd find a way to help. That was somewhat of a lie on my part because I don't really know how. I can help him, but I wanted to reassure him that I didn't do anything drastic in the meantime while we find a solution. I told him that you'd never really fully trust him to not use the information against him, even if you got paid. And he said the following. I'm recalling this all from memory, so excuse me if it's not completely accurate. He said regardless of anything, he needs to pay the people as soon as possible or he's in great danger. He offered me a deal because, as you know, selling on Silk Road was my income and he was my connection for Lucy. He said he wants to be paid, and then he would give me product at his cost so that I could pay you back by selling and giving you the percentage of what he would normally put on top when he was selling it to me. He was putting 50% on top of his cost when he gave it to me. So he suggested that I start vending again and you take 50% of all sales. That way you could be paid back in full, I would be able to sell again on Silk Road, and the people he borrowed the product from would be paid back and he would be safe. I said that was a bad deal because you still have all the vendors' information and customers' information. He said that he'd be willing to give you his identity, talk to someone on the phone, or verify, or give any other identifying information that could be confirmed as collateral, so we would never have to be able to use that information again. On March 20th, 2013 at 5:58 p.m., Dread Pirate Roberts would say, "You know his real-world identity, don't you? There is no way I will be handing cash over to a person who is threatening me and my community. Give me his ID so I can have some leverage in dealing with him. You said you don't know what to do now, so let me take over and give me all the info you have so I have the best chance of defusing the situation." Lucy Drop then responds about an hour and a half later, basically reiterating what we just read about the 50% deal. At 3:29 p.m. that same day, Dread Pirate Roberts would respond and say, "Don't bother messaging me again if the message does not contain his personal information. I'm not fronting money to anyone, and I won't be blackmailed. I would also like the contact info/ID of the other Lucy Drop that ripped him off, and of his suppliers if possible. You don't know how to handle this situation, but I do. Stop showing this guy compassion. He's threatening your life and freedom, and my livelihood." On March 21st, 2013, at 12:21 a.m., Lucy Drop would respond and say, "If you really think this is a good idea to deal with him, I will give you his personal information you want about his identity. Please understand why I'm hesitant, as it is my freedom we're dealing with. I will also have no income since he was my connection for Lucy. Are there any positions open on Silk Road, support or otherwise? I could really use some sort of job as my partner completely effed me over. Let me know how to send the information to you, plain text, or give me a PGP key to use." At 1:33 a.m., Dread Pirate Roberts would actually send a message to Friendly Chemist and say, "Have your suppliers contact me here so I can work something out with them. Do not tell them that I owe you money. That is not true and will only complicate matters. Tell them the truth, that the person who stole your money sold their product on my site and that you are now blackmailing me to get them their money. You should copy and paste this message to them." This is a really interesting move by Dread Pirate Roberts, or Ross Ulbricht, because he's trying to cut out Friendly Chemist, who is a middleman. By getting in contact with suppliers, he can directly grow the Silk Road, and that's the reason he's doing this. 3 minutes later, Lucy Drop would send a public key and the encrypted PGP message that contained the person's personal information. At 10:44 p.m. on March 21st, he would send a message back to Lucy Drop that says, "Please send me the exact address of Friendly Chemist. I might be able to make you a part-time mod. I'll run it by the staff." On March 25th at 10 a.m., a new user would pop up by the name of Red and White, and this is where the negotiating begins. "I was asked to contact you. We're the people Friendly Chemist owes money to. He tells us that you owe him money and a long story about some of this and some of that. As far as we're concerned, we gave him the product. Where it went and how does not matter. We told him he's only responsible for the missing product and money. We don't care if you stole it or borrowed it from him or anything. It was his responsibility to pay for it. He asked me to contact you anyways, so what did you want to talk to us about?" At 6:27 p.m. the next day, Ross Ulbricht would get back to them. "Sorry for the delayed response and thank you for getting in touch. We've had some technical difficulties over the past 24 hours I've had to deal with. Just to be clear, I do not owe him any money, but he has told me his situation and wants my help. I'm not entirely sure what the best action is to take, but I wanted to be in communication with you to see if we could come to a conclusion that works for everyone. Friendly Chemist aside, we should talk about how we can do business. Obviously, you have access to illicit substances in quantity, and you are having issues with bad distributors. If you don't already sell here on Silk Road, I'd like you to consider becoming a vendor. Many people here purchase in bulk as well as retail quantities. Being a vendor, you'll have the protection that dealing anonymously in Bitcoin provides, and you'll have protection against people like Friendly Chemist ripping you off, because all transactions are conducted through my escrow. I encourage you to read the wiki and forum, links are in the footer, and consider becoming a vendor here. So, if there's anything I can do as an admin here to help you get involved with Silk Road, or anything I can do to help with your situation with Friendly Chemist, please let me know." At 8:08 p.m., Red and White would get back to him and say, "This is interesting. How much is it possible to sell in here if we listed every product far cheaper than everyone else? We have a majority hold over most of the movement of products in Western Canada, one of the main ports in North America. I have researched your site and the concept seems interesting to me, as long as it is as anonymous as everyone makes it out to be. We produce a lot of things that would get this video demonetized, and import a lot of other things that would get this video demonetized in bulk amounts. We have a lot of workers who run their own sub-distribution networks for the streets, but if it's lucrative, we're always looking to expand. In my partner's eyes, all they see is that because of online dealing, we are out 700K, so I'm not sure if they're going to go for it. Friendly Chemist refuses to meet up with us because he fears what will happen. People are starting to suspect that he will go to the police, which is not a problem, because he would never really give up anyone of importance since he has only had contact with low-level people in our group, and they always take precautions so that even if someone were to turn informant, they would not be able to get any charges to stick. It's a shame because he moved a fair amount of product. If you can get Friendly Chemist to meet up with us and pay his debt, then I'm sure I would be able to get people in our group to this online side of business or try. As it stands right now, there are people looking for him, and since he has avoided our group, I'm not sure what will happen because he owes us money and is avoiding us. I looked around your site, and the prices are absolutely absurd. I'm assuming most people here are selling 3 to 4 tiers below the actual producers and distributors. On March 27, 2013, at 11:16 p.m., Ross Ulbricht would send another message to Lucy Drop, who hadn't followed up yet. He says, "Why haven't you gotten the address yet? Bring me Friendly Chemist's address and $1,000 in Bitcoin is yours." 22 minutes later, then Ross Ulbricht would send another message to Red and White that says, "In my eyes, Friendly Chemist is a liability, and I wouldn't mind if he was executed, but then you'd be out 700K. I'm not sure how much you already know about the guy, but I have the following info and I'm waiting to get his address. Blake Krokoff lives in an apartment near White Rock Beach City, White Rock, Province, British Columbia, has a wife and 3 kids. Let me know if it would be helpful to have his full address." In those categories, I think you could be doing over 1 million in sales a week within a few months. It's hard to estimate because it depends on how much market share you get, and also the site as a whole has been constantly growing. You will need to become very proficient at stealth shipping and packaging if you aren't already. Think vacuum sealers and leaving no forensic evidence on your packages. You will also want to ship from multiple drop points so you can't be traced back to your fake return address. If you go through with this, I would contact some of the top vendors and hire them to consult you. Ask the grass vendors because you wouldn't be competing with them and their product is very smelly and looked for by the USPS, so they have to be on top of their game. I would would also start out listing smaller amounts so you can get the hang of it before putting up substantial inventory. You also need to market yourself in the forums a little bit, maybe at first. Maybe send out some samples to critics. That is one price of anonymity. No one knows you, but if your first customer service is good and your product is cheap, people will quickly catch on and you wouldn't have to do much hustling. Regarding prices, there are some costs here that you don't otherwise see. I typically 10% depending on the size of the transaction. You hedge your escrow balance, and you should. That can cost up to 5% per transaction. Now, if you need to convert your Bitcoins into another currency, there are other fees associated with that, though not much. There are also occasional losses due to packages lost in the mail. The rest of the markup, I think, is due, as you say, to the fact that most vendors are pretty far down the distribution chain. Regarding safety and anonymity, we've been operating for over 2 years now and open as a high-profile target, and we're still going strong. If you take the necessary precautions and use the technology, I think you can operate very securely and efficiently here, maybe more so than your current operations.
Not even fair.
March 28th, 2013, 9:01 a.m. Red and White goes on to say, I already have that information, but thank you. 1 million a week sounds like it'd be worth selling on here once we know exactly how everything works. Even if the commission is 15%, it wouldn't matter, as we lose more than 15% on the streets with street-level guys getting robbed or arrested, losing product, etc. Also, we've kidnapped Friendly Chemist partner Zin, and we're already on the hunt for Friendly Chemist. I'll keep you updated on the developments. So far we are liking what we're seeing from the site, and this could be a good partnership for both of us. As far as I can see, this site lacks any big-time suppliers. It appears that mostly street-level independents are buying small amounts, an ounce to a kilo at a time, and selling on here. We have the product and the manpower to do big things here. Forgive me, but it all seems a little too good to be true right now, so we need a little bit of time to research this before we make any sort of commitment. At 4:59 p.m. the same day, DPR would respond and say, I understand, and that's great news about Zin. If I understand the situation, he's the one responsible for your loss. By the way, so this Zin character just came out of nowhere, but that's supposedly Lucy Drop's old partner. You should definitely take your time and start slowly. I would hate for you to make a mistake and be left with a bad experience. Just let me know if you need anything. Also, you should look into PGP. Many customers like to encrypt the receiving address, so you should know how to decrypt it. When you're ready, let me know what account you want to sell with, and I'll cover the $500 security deposit for you. 8:32 p.m. that same day, Red and White would say, we are familiar with PGP as we've been using it for years via email linked to our smartphones. It's the only other way we communicate with each other aside from in person, since phone calls are not secure. There is no loss anymore also. We were able to recover all of our missing product when we grabbed Zin. After some questioning, he admitted he was intending on moving to a different country and setting up a new seller account on this site. We don't take kindly to thieves. He's gone. I appreciate your offer to waive the fee, but if we were to sell on here, I would pay the same as everyone else. Very kind of you, though. I will be in touch. So since Friendly Chemist partner, or Lucy Drop's old partner, is now taken out, Friendly Chemist is starting to get panicked. On March 29th at 10:23 a.m., Friendly Chemist will reach out once more after a long hiatus. You leave me no choice. I want 500k USD in 72 hours or I'm going to post all the info I have. I can't go back to my home. I had to move my kids and my wife somewhere, and I need the money so I can move my family and start a new life. I hate to do this, but I need the money to release it all. 5,000 user details and about 2 dozen vendor identities. What's it going to be? At 3:54 that same day, DPR would respond and say, don't do anything foolish. The people that you owe money have caught up to Zin and have reclaimed their loss. I spoke and calmed them down. They're likely going to be becoming vendors here in XR. Now you can calm down too. Go back to your normal life and don't get involved with any of this stuff anymore. At 7:43 p.m., Friendly Chemist would then come back and say, you don't think I know what they did to Zin? You think I just go on with my life? You don't know these people. I owed them money and I ran away from them. It's over for me. I need that money to start over somewhere else with my family. I need it. I don't want to do this, but you still don't give me another choice. They're still telling me that I have to meet them, and I don't know what will happen. I can't let that happen. Even if they say it's okay, I know they will do the same thing to me. They say everything is okay, but I know what they will do. 63 hours. Please, don't force me to post everything. 500k is nothing to you, but it's life and death for me. They told me I have a free pass and that they dealt with it with Zin, but I know that they are doing that to make me think it's okay, and then they're going to get me. That's how these people operate. 10:47 p.m., he will respond to Friendly Chemist once more and say, do me a favor, make it 96 hours. I will get back to you on Monday. I want to work this out, but I have big plans for this weekend, and I don't want to have to deal with this. problem when we were just starting to get to know one another, but Blake, the friendly chemist, is causing me problems. Are you still looking for him, or now, or if you found Zinn, have you given up? I'd like to put a bounty on his head, if it's not too much trouble for you. What would be an adequate amount to motivate you to find him? Necessities like this do happen from time to time for a person in my position. I have others I can turn to, but it's always good to have options, and you are close to the case right now. Hopefully this is something you are open to, and can be another aspect of our business relationship. Regards, Greg Roberts. March 30th, 12:42 a.m. Red and White writes to Red. What is the problem? We usually tend to stay away from hits as they're bad for business and a lot of heat. Is it a problem that can be resolved, or does he really need to be dealt with sternly? As of right now, we don't care about him because we retrieved more money from Zinn than what he took from us. And he also paid for it with his life. Debt paid in our books. As far as rates go, we don't have a flat rate for things like that. It's on a case-by-case basis. Usually we pay our hitters a percentage of what the person owes, plus or minus how much they can retrieve. If it's strictly a hit because they don't want the person around anymore, it's also different. Does he owe you money, or do you just not want him around anymore? I can send a couple of my guys to do recon to find out exactly where he is right now. In the meantime, I'll wait until I get back from him. At 1:55 a.m., Garrett's back. When you find his location, that may be enough for me to scare him off. He's been trying to blackmail me. Just let me know what you need to make it worth your while. 3:31 a.m. that same night, Red and White writes, if I find his location and you use it against him to scare him, there's a chance he'll switch locations again. Speaking from experience, it will be a lot more difficult to find him again after that. Once he knows there are people capable of finding him. Further, the people we use to do recon are the hitter themselves. I don't think they'd be interested in continuing to look for him if there was a small sum to be split between them just to find his address. If you have your mind just set on finding his location, I can talk to them and get them to get it to you for a fee. Not sure what amount, as usually we hunt someone. There's more involved after we find them. If you want the deal with him the other way, we can talk about that too, but the price varies in the situation. If you want it to look like an accident, that's going to cost a lot more. It wouldn't be suspicious. He would just leave home one day and not return. If you don't care what it looks like, it would be cheaper than the accident. We use professionals and not street-level hoodlums who always end up effing things up.